Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We're at property address 301 East Columbia Drive, unit number 25 here in Newburgh. So we're on the, as you face the, I guess, well, I don't know what the technical front of this house, the front door anyway is, but hey, if you're standing out in the street facing into the property, let me get my camera oriented here. We're on the driveway side of the house right now at the hatch here. It's about halfway back. I believe there's another hatch even further back than this one with another access point. Anyway, we're going to check the overall condition, serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water is running. Zeroed out there. Off we go. Oh, we may actually have to use the other clean out. I was a little worried we'd run into this. Yeah, so right here, that Y coming into the top of the pipe right there is another clean out access. And that is just inside the other hatch. This is also right here where we swap over to 3034 PVC. And that appears to be 4-inch diameter. Dive, dive, dive. So right there, it looks like we're actually Y connecting onto another line here. So that's how a lot of these work. You will often have main lateral lines that run directly underneath the units. Because these are kind of set up for plug and play, you can move a unit out of the way and drop another one into its place. It's a very common arrangement to have that. That appears right there to be the main lateral. We'll see if we can... Yeah, I'm surprised that many turns. I'm going to see if I can keep running out here a little ways to get us to go all the way into the road. But generally, once you Y onto the top of a line like that, that likely is a line that another unit is also utilizing too. Otherwise, what you'd expect to see are multiple lines underneath this house diving into the ground and Ying into the top of that, which does not appear to be the case here. Alright, so this tie at the top of the pipe, you can see all the staining coming down the side of the pipe there. That likely is grease staining. Mostly, I'm pointing that out from the it mostly indicates that another line is likely tied in there. It's less likely to be a clean out. I'm going to go locate and see where we are. Alright, located the camera head successfully there. So, once again, if you're standing in the street facing up the driveway, the line dives down into the crawl space, or under the crawl space, I should say, anyway, where it ties into the main lateral. The main laterals here are running side to side, not front to back. Sometimes you'll get mains that run underneath them, kind of going from like the rear end of the unit to the front end of the unit out to the street. In this case, what the line is doing is it's moving, the main lateral is flowing from, let's see here, right to left. So right now we're underneath the home of the house to the left of this one. That's as you stand in the street facing up the driveway or facing the front of this house. It's a very nice arrangement. This type of home and manufactured home parks, they can be very, very tricky lines to scope because of the configuration. They're often not set up like a normal sewer line, you know, that just runs straight out to the road. They often have some really hard dives and turns, and honestly, they're usually a lot older pipe materials too. This is a fairly new system here, which makes it a lot easier scoping it through plastic pipe than cast iron. So that water you're seeing there is water that is flowing through the line, and it's coming from another home off to the right of this one somewhere. This is main lateral pipe anyway. Where your line actually, your sole line terminates is about 15 feet into the line. Or 15 feet on, at least on my camera went. You got some pretty clean living neighbors too. There's very little buildup in this thing. Most notably, no major grease buildup, which is a common issue, especially if many of these are rental units that, for whatever reason, rental units are just a little more prone to getting buildup in them. They're kept quite clean. So as you can see there, once you drop down here, Do this hard dive straight down. That right there at about 16 feet is where you tie into the main. That water there is not coming from this home, it's coming from somewhere else. So I know that there was a comment made about how the homeowner's responsible out to the street. I mean, this thing at some point may very well make its way to a street, but it's going to go underneath probably a whole bunch of units till it gets there. So I don't know if that's accurate. What you're usually responsible for is the stuff, you know, the pipe that solely services your home out to about 16 feet there, and obviously anything else prior to this point that's running through the crawl space area. Generally, once you're into a shared part of the line like that, that typically becomes an HOA responsibility, because if something were to get damaged directly underneath this house, that would not just affect this home, it would also affect every single house prior to it. So there's probably a little more to that. I think that was just kind of a general idea that was thrown out. Anyway, great looking sewer line. Great flow end to end. Every inch of it is in good condition. Got a little bit of grease build up in that hard vertical drop, which is common. Even on houses that are trying to be fairly careful at not putting grease down the line. Fun little sewer fun fact for you. Grease builds up more on hard vertical drops than it does anywhere else. You'd think it would be the opposite because stuff is moving so quickly, and that is partly the reason for it. Water is a much thinner fluid and it moves faster. So when you have that nice hot water keeping your grease melted, it hits those vertical drops. Grease is a much thicker, slower moving fluid, almost a semi-solid. And when the water starts outrunning the grease, and it leaves it behind. So a little bit of grease build up there, but it's a hard vertical drop. Those are locations that are much harder to block up anyway. It's not a terribly significant amount of grease to begin with. So great looking line. No bellies, offset joints, roots, nothing. Line's functioning properly at this time.